You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. Welcome to the big show, our family and friends. We certainly appreciate having you. As always, the Chris Voss Show family is the family that loves you but doesn't judge you. For 15 years, we've been bringing you the billionaires, the CEOs, the authors, the Pulitzer Prize winners, the brilliant minds, the astronauts, the people that you see on TV in the news cycle. We bring you everybody on the planet, including myself. And so we bring you all the smartest minds, and we do that to educate you, to make your life better, to make you smarter, to make you have that aura of glow, of just grand intelligence, where people go, how the hell are you so damn smart? And you can go, I listen to the Chris Voss Show podcast too. There's the show on the podcast. And it just makes me so much smarter and brighter. But you know what the beautiful part is sharing that intelligent glow that you have with the world and your family, friends, and relatives. Thereby, we always ask you to refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Subscribe to the big LinkedIn newsletter. Go to, YouTube, Goodreads, and Chris Voss 1 on the tickety-tockety over there. Today, we have an amazing gentleman on the show. He's going to be talking about his startup, how he became an entrepreneur, his vision for the company that he built, and what went into it, and all that good stuff. We have Samuel Moses on the show with us today. He's the CEO and founder of Sockrates, producing the highest quality custom socks at the fastest turnaround time, as it's billed on his website. With a passion for entrepreneurship from a very young age, he is the founder of the company, and his company is based in Boca Raton, Florida, which specializes in producing the highest quality custom socks at the fastest turnaround time. With over 4,000 clients, he's emerged as the industry leader in his field with his company, with clients in the United States, Germany, France, Iceland, UK, Israel, and Canada. I was going to do a Canuck joke there, and I totally I miffed it. After graduating from the prestigious Schulich School of Business in Toronto, Ontario, he worked for an investment banking consulting firm where he's responsible for presenting research and findings to key C-level decision executives within the banking industry around the world. Next, he became a partner of an established market research firm in Toronto, where he consulted on studies for companies spanning 50 million in revenues to the Fortune 500. With a keen eye for both small details and big picture approach to business, Samuel is sought out for advice on various topics such as business strategy, team leadership, business communication, marketing, and organizational culture. Welcome to the show, Samuel. How are you?
Great. Thanks for the intro, and it's great to be here.
Thank you for coming. We certainly appreciate it. Give us your .coms. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
Sure. So they can find us on our website, Sockrates, SOCKRATES, custom, the word custom, .com. That's pretty much the best way to go. You'll see a nice, colorful, bright site that clearly outlines how you can get started with us and learn some more information about what we do, as well as our process. We like to keep it simple, but this site will kind of explain to you how we keep it simple.
There you go. So you worked with Google, Netflix, Paramount, Coca-Cola, Kellogg's, Microsoft, a lot of these big companies. Give us like a capsulation at 30,000 feet of what you do.
So what we do is we produce custom socks for companies all over the world. What they're doing with these socks is they're branding it to their brand. So imagine you walked into a high-end retail store and you saw a Google sock, and it looks like it's a sock that you would buy. But what they're doing is that they're not selling it in stores. They're giving it out to their customers, and they're giving it out to their clients, and they're giving it out at trade shows. And this is a powerful tool. It's a custom sock that can drive traffic to your show booth, that can show your customers that you care about them. And of course, also very important, your employees. It's a nice gift for them where they would wear the sock of the brand that they work for.
Mm-hmm.
And our designers do a really good job at making sure that it's what we call retail ready. So it's a sock that you would wear because it's a fashionable sock and not just kind of like the old school, let's slap logos on things and shove it in people's faces. It's more about the fashion behind it, following the trends within the sock world and applying it to the custom sock for the company using their branding colors.
There you go. Can I make a sock for a company sock and force all my employees to wear it? You know, the old IBM suit days.
Yeah, yeah, you can definitely give it to them. I mean, forcing them to wear it might be the next step, but you can definitely do it and give it to them. You know.
Hey, buddy, write up number 1. You didn't wear your company socks today. That's a no. Yeah,
yeah, you're out.
2 more and you're out.
You're not getting the raise.
Yep.
You know?
Go see HR. Yeah. We have rules around this place. You know, there are rules.
Right.
You must wear the company socks.
Right. That was you went overboard there with the no sock look, you know.
There you go. And you took the bag we had off your head off, and now everyone can see what you look like. So you go get written up for that too.
Right.
Yeah, we have an anti-ugly ban in our office. I'm just kidding, people. We don't, because I would lose it. I'd be the first one to lose it. They'd be like, you got to go first. Because whatever. So how did you get into this business? Tell us your hero's journey and how you got down this line.
Sure. So I was in retail for many years, high-end retail. We were selling to executives. I was in Toronto at the time. I grew up in Toronto, and I moved after that. And we were selling to high-end executives neckties. So you'll know that these days neckties is not the easiest product to sell. But for many years, I was definitely in the necktie game for a while. And I noticed that this store that we had, which is a very high-end store, was only selling to a very specific demographic. And that was kind of like males with, a very high discretionary income. But I was getting hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people through the store because it's kind of like the Wall Street of Toronto. It's a very high traffic store. Mm-hmm. So what we did was we brought in these colorful socks. At that time, we were selling Happy Socks, and we became one of the top sellers of Happy Socks actually all across Canada.
Uh-huh.
And then at that point, we started our own brand, Socrates. It's kind of a play on the word, the philosopher Socrates. And it did really well. And companies started coming to us in the store and saying, who makes these socks? Well, we make these socks. And then they said, okay, send your logos and colors. And then we started producing for them. Fast forward a couple of years, we closed down the retail. Everything's online now, and we're servicing thousands of companies all over the world with a team of 15. And it's a great business. It's a really great business because we're servicing, B2B clients. And once it's sold, then we produce the socks, and we're able to ship it all over the place from our factory in Italy. And our factory in Italy is a very trusted partner of ours.
There you go. Do you find that people buying together with socks? I get all sorts of pencils. I went into what was it, the contact place? It's something America or some contact glasses place. I wanted to get some new glasses, and they gave me this baggie of merch, and it's like stupid stuff. It's like an eraser, and it's like a pencil. Like, who uses pencils anymore?
Right,
like, really?
Right.
I didn't think it was a pen. And it was like a baggie of junk.
Right.
And so is there a reason maybe socks maybe are more appealing to if you give them to people than, I don't know, pencils?
Yeah, sure. So the big movement right now is on, the environment and not wasting product. And a lot of products at the trade shows, like these notepads and these, these pens and all these things, they're just getting thrown out. Yeah. So the sock obviously is a very high perceived value. People do not really throw out socks; they wear them, and they have a lot of use. They end up in the top of the they end up at the top drawer. The sock drawer is definitely top. So you're getting your brand in the top drawer of somebody's kind of like shelf there, right? So it has high perceived value. It's a great giveaway that's somebody's going to use. And what we've noticed through our research is that when people give away socks, it's a really easy conversation to start with the customer. Oh, I love these socks. I wore them. I thought they were great. And it leads to really good conversations for the customer and their potential client.
There you go. So what was it like to start this company? I mean, this wasn't your first company, I guess?
No, I had a few businesses before. And then, I guess I kind of landed on this business through the neckwear business. Neckwear business, obviously no longer, but now I do the custom sock business full time. And it was a process. We really learned the manufacturing process in Italy. and then applied the neckwear manufacturing process to the sock manufacturing process using Italy, because the way that they do things is very specific. So we were able to apply the knowledge of one business to another business. So we were out of the gate much faster than we would be if we were starting from scratch. So that was definitely helpful.
There you go. Give us some entrepreneur advice. I guess you work for other companies and then you started working for yourself. What was it like to make that transition?
It was tough. I mean, you definitely second guess yourself a lot, and you definitely have to have a lot of confidence in yourself. And what I always tell people is, make sure you're not taking on too much too fast. So if you want to just say open a wallet business where you're selling wallets, don't bring in 2,000 wallets, because if I showed you what 2,000 wallet looks like, you get very nervous to even if you can't sell them very quickly.
That's
so you
true.
start with 50, 75 wallets. You got to start very slow in this game and try to let the business kind of move and then make moves with the business. So that's kind of like my number one piece of advice. Don't take on too much where you're going to get scared, because you got to stay in the game, and the game ends when you get scared and leave it, right? So you just got to stay in, and you got to keep making the moves that you got to make, and things start happening.
There you go. How do you find separating, your life and being an entrepreneur? How do you balance the work-life balance?
Yeah,
as they like to
no,
say?
that's almost like the hardest challenge. There's a lot of challenges, but that's the hardest one. When you leave and you go home to your family, how much are you taking with you? The stresses of the day, the stresses of your staff, and that's the constant battle back and forth. I think I've done a good job recently, over the years now, maybe a couple years, of trying to just turn it off and go home and come back the next day to your problems versus bringing it with you. It seems like when you have enough kind of like depth of knowledge and experience, you realize that there's always going to be some hurdle that you have to overcome. And when you look back, you kind of see that you did overcome them. So, there's no reason to believe that you can't overcome the next one. So you got to stay calm. And I try actually not to bring it home at all. I don't want to stress out my wife and my kids. I don't want to do all that. It doesn't help anybody. They can't solve the problem anyway, right? So try to appreciate what you have on the family side, and then work on the business side during business hours.
I usually take my business home to my family, and I sit the kids down with a bunch of yellow pads, and we have a little team meeting, and I'm like, "Hey, I need to come up with some ideas, people. We need ideas. Come on, come on. Sales are down. What the fuck, Jimmy?
We got to make the mortgage payment.
Come on,
guys.
Jimmy.
Let's go. Yeah.
What do you got?" He's like, "I'm 3, Dad." I'm like, "I don't care, buddy. You're learning how it's going." And so yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, I guess you could do it. You could do it that way. That would also work. But I personally separate it. But either way is good.
Yeah. Besides, Jimmy just has shitty ideas anyway. He's like Tonka trucks. It's like, shut up, Jimmy. Just go play with it.
Yeah, we're gonna get sued. We're gonna get sued.
There you go. Yeah. Don't. And maybe the other Bobby has, that, or I adopted some kids to try and get better ideas. Anyway, so you've had several ideas of turning your idea into a business. People that are out there listening to this thinking, what a great idea! They took socks and merchandised it. What are some concepts you have, or some thoughts you have on people who want to take an idea like this, where maybe they're like, hey, zippers, how to make, zippers marketable or something.
Right.
There's always, you can improve everything and anything from an infinite amount of times, it seems, except for me. So what are some ways, advice you give to people on how to turn ideas into business?
Sure. So what I do there is, what I tell people is, and I get that question a lot, is you have to do your research, but at the same time, you can't overly do your research. A lot of people like to make the mistake of trying to know everything before they even start, and then they don't start, or they realize that they can't know everything, but it takes a long time to get there. You can't know everything, and a lot of times you get into business and other avenues will open up within that business. So you kind of have to get into business. Like I said, try to not to take on too much, but get in, dip your toe in, start, your website, start your SEO, start your Google ads, start your branding, all these things, start your, customer experience, how you're going to have a good customer experience, start getting the product in, and then reevaluate. You're not going to be able to know everything on day one than somebody knows on year 5, right? That's not realistic. So you can't overthink it. You need to start and you need to make decisions, but at the same time, you can't be paralyzed by the fact that you don't know everything,
Yeah. And it sounds like from what you're saying, I mean, you just have to start. It's a journey of learning, education, mastering skills, sometimes your own personal skills of self accountability and self actualization. You just have to, it's like, would you say it's basically just an endless row of problem solving and developing and problem solving? It seems like that's all you do all day long is just solve
Yeah,
problems
you
and
just
fix
you
things.
just hit a wall and you got to figure out how to get over the wall or through the
Mhm.
wall. And there's another wall there waiting for you. So, but at the same time, sometimes the magic happens where you're really going through those walls pretty fast,
Yeah.
and things are just working really well, and that's great. And then for some reason that stops, and then something else starts. So there's always these constant battles that you have to face, and but as you get over them, you get stronger, kind of thing. So you learn
Definitely.
from your previous experiences. So that's huge. It's like a snowball effect. I'm Canadian,
Mhm.
so I can bring up a snow reference, right?
Yeah, you can. I think that's legal. Let me check with the judges here.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, we
my
says okay.
my green card, if
The
that's
lawyers are
allowed.
still
Yeah,
reviewing it, but I think we'll be okay.
yeah.
Um,
So it's a
yeah.
snowball effect, right? You're growing as you go, and you're learning as you go. You got to keep your cash flow healthy, and you got to stay alive. It's like
Mhm.
it's kind of like life. You just got to keep going and breathing.
Just keep going. Sometimes that's really true. You just got to keep going. You can't get things down, and it develops you in so many different ways. You mentioned earlier about the thing I've touted on or I've complained about on the show is I'll meet people and they'll be like, I'm going to start a business like you, Chris, and I'll be like, okay, we'll go do that, and they're like, well, I'm going to wait till everything's perfect. You
Right, right,
mentioned
right.
people do that earlier. And I'm like, no, 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 you want to do it now. And people just have to realize what you said. You've got to, it's just this continuing problem solving thing, and you got to start it and flush it out and see if it works. There's lots of products that people develop that maybe they think it's a great idea. I've had people pitch me a thing and I go, that's a dumb idea.
Doesn't work.
But I got to tell you, the amount of products that I've called were a dumb idea, like 1-900 lines. I thought that was going to be a dumb idea in the 90s. That was a great idea. There was a lot of stuff that I've been like, that's a dumb idea. Twitch was, we were big YouTube. We were big in YouTube. And I remember Twitch came to us when they first started. And they're like, hey, there's people making a lot of money over here. You should bring your channel over there. I'm like, what is it? And they go, people are watching other people play video games. And I'm like,
That
why
doesn't
wouldn't they
sound good.
just go buy the video game and play it themselves? Like that just
Right.
sounds dumb.
But
Well,
there's a market of people who want to do that, right?
exactly. I didn't get it because I wasn't into gaming. That might have helped. But yeah, that was just the dumbest thing ever. Now they won't return my calls at all. They're just like, yeah, we're bigger than you now, buddy. And so, you just never know. And sometimes you just got to go flush that product out. You got to go do the problem solving and see if it goes, right?
Yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
just gotta do the problem solving and give it a test. And if you get some traction, keep going with the traction. And versus spending years of your time or months and months of your time trying to just figure out how to launch quote unquote perfectly, right?
Definitely. So how do you improve your efficiency at work? How do you improve yourself as an entrepreneur personally and make yourself better?
Yeah, I have really good advisors in my life, people who
Hmm.
who can give me good advice, people who are really good at what they do and are really good at listening to what my problems are or what I'm facing, and they give
Hmm.
me constant advice, and I do listen to them, and I like to make decisions based on what they say. I also have a really good team at the company,
Hmm.
from the top down, of people who just work really hard and are in the same business, and we're all trying to achieve the same goals. So we like to talk amongst each other and try to make the company better. And
Hmm.
if the company gets better, I find that I get better. So it's kind of like I'm kind of like tied into the company's success like that as an entrepreneur. And we have a really good team, and people who have been with us a long time and people who are new but have really bought into the system and our process. And when we say something to the client, we do it, and if something goes wrong, we take accountability for it and we make it right. So that that's all we can do is really take care of the customer and make the best possible product, be fair to everybody. And then if we do all that and we do all that consistently, our business should continue to grow for many years.
There you go. What sort of leadership styles do you use or training or do you, I mean, you study leadership? Do you What sort of leadership aspects do you think you espouse in your business?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. It's a good question. I get that sometimes. I think that, I'm very passionate about what I do in the business. And I found that, it's almost like parenting. If you tell your kid, do your homework, do your homework, do your homework, or be a hard worker, then, they might not grow up to actually be hard workers because you're just yelling at them and pointing at them and saying things, right? But if you actually show them that you're a hard worker, then they might actually, believe that that's important because you're doing it consistently over a long period of time. And that's how I learned, from my father like that. That's how I learned from some of my coworkers as well. So I'm really passionate about what we do. I believe in it. I care about it a lot. And I noticed that our team follows. Like, they definitely take from that, and they also work very hard in the business. They might see me emailing at odd hours, or they might see me asking questions, that show that I'm very passionate. So, the leadership style that I have is kind of like lead by example, and then let the people, mimic that with you, and it seems to be working well.
There you go. Leading by example, is it's one of the things I talked about in my book. People see what you say, and they also see who you are. So you can put out all sorts of PR things and be like, we're a moral company who does the right thing and builds trust and honesty. And then if people see that you're full of shit, that you're hypocrisy,
it's actually worse than saying in the first place, right?
Exactly, because people are like, aha, this guy's full of it.
Yeah.
And so setting the example of being a good leader, of servant leadership, of being someone who builds a company, who's a good judge of character, who's a good judge, really, and holds themselves to the same standard that you do, makes all the difference. What are some ways that you use to improve employee happiness? Do they all get socks?
Yeah, they get a lot of socks. Yeah, they definitely do not. If I told anybody, my friends and my family and my coworkers, if you're buying socks from a store, then something's going wrong, right? We have a lot of samples. So, the only thing is they have to wear it with company names on it, but they're happy about that. They're very proud of the work they did, right? So
that's good.
Yeah, we think it's better. So they definitely get socks, but what they do get is an environment that they're heard. They get an environment where they matter, and that we don't peg them into little positions where they have to do the same work every day. They're really spread across the business. So, So, the design team is working not only on the sock designs, but they work on the website and they work on the advertising. So they're getting exposure where in a larger company, say, a couple thousand person company, they would be pegged to only doing one task, right? So that's a big difference. Unlimited paid time off, assuming nobody's taking crazy advantage of that, although some employees think unlimited paid time off is kind of a scam, because I think statistically people take less vacation than if you would have just given them their 10 days, so.
Yeah, they don't go like, hey, I'm taking that whole 10 days. They probably use it.
All of a sudden, everybody's all nervous about the unlimited paid time off. So it's a little bit of a, talk, right? But that being said, we like to take good care of them. We don't stress them out. If they have a dentist appointment and stuff like that, they're able to do it. They work remotely, which is great. And at the same time, they work for a company that's growing and a company that's producing high quality goods. So that, I think, is the kind of like the mixture that you need to keep them happy.
I've often been curious about that unlimited time off. And I do think people need, if they've got a funeral, if they got a doctor's thing, if they've got some sort of emergency comes up, that someone didn't get picked up at the daycare and you got to run and go do that. I mean, there's things that happen in people's lives that are kind of crazy. Is there a backstop to the unlimited time? Is there any sort of thing where you're just like, okay, it's a little too much now?
Yeah, I think what you have to do is realize we have busy season. Our busy season is obviously Q4. So it's not the time to start, taking trips to Hawaii, right? So it has to be reasonable, and you have to remember that there's other people on the team that rely on you. So when you're away, you're kind of hurting them more than just as much as you're hurting the company. And we're all in this together. So the same way you don't want your coworker to take off in the middle of busy season for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, probably you shouldn't be doing that either. And it's all about mutual respect for each other. So I mean, I guess, is there a limit to unlimited paid time off. The limit is don't abuse unlimited paid time off. I guess that's it, you know?
I'm just wondering on the metrics why you mentioned that. So I'll give you an example. Like one time I had an employee and she was really good at doing her mortgage processing. And she had a husband at home who was supposed to take care of the baby, you know, and the baby was, you know, diapers and all that sort of stuff. Well, evidently she had a real problem with him doing his job and feeding the baby and doing the diapers because he was busy playing a lot of video games. They were both very young. And so maybe that immaturity was contributing to it. But it constantly started becoming a problem where she would go, hey, I got to go home and take the rest of the day off because I got to go feed the baby and change the diapers on the kid because the kid's crying and he's playing video games and won't do his job. And about the first, 3 to 4 times, I was like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever your emergency is. And then it became apparent there was a problem in their household that was being made into my problem. The guy's there that can do his job. He's a fucking father, right?
Right. So that's not because it's not an emergency. That's a systemic issue, right? Like it's the same issue over and over again, right?
So do you have to identify the time off is like for like real emergencies, or I'm just kind of curious how you admit.
Yeah, I noticed especially in retail, we had this a lot where all these people who were taking emergencies, it was the same people with the same, different
same
emergencies.
Sort of, yeah.
And people who were stable had no emergencies. And when they did, it was okay because they had one every 4 years or something, right? So, I don't know how much I believe the emergency excuse anymore, but unless it's a real one, but it has to be reasonable. Like you're telling me about this, the situation at home. Obviously that's not acceptable, right? Because like you said, I remember my first boss, when I was in the consulting world and we were traveling around Europe, and he's like, I was 22 years old and I said something, I forget what it was. And he's like, don't make your problems my problems. Like, you can't do that, So it's like, if these are your problems, that's your problems, but just don't make them my problems. I remember he was the partner of the firm, so I kind of take that to heart. Like, if I'm the owner of the company, I don't want my employees making problems for me,
I should have a giant freaking mural on the side of my company back in the day, because the psychiatry work you have to do. I mean, when you're especially with salespeople, their heads got to be in that game. They're in a definitely game of sales and moving the ball, if they will. So give us a rundown as to how this works. I noticed that some of these socks, that you got environmental friendly and different things like that. Give us kind of rundown as to what people expect when they order socks when you do business with you and how to reach out to you and stuff.
So first things first, all of our socks are made in Italy, which is a very high quality sock. And they're all Pantone matched to your brand. So there's no like, hey, McDonald's, let's change the yellow, right? We match the exact yellow of what McDonald's is giving us, which obviously brands are very picky. So the number one thing is that it's made in Italy. Number two, we match the colors exactly, and we design it from scratch to make a woven sock. We don't sublimate where it's like printed on, And then another thing that we do is that we make it in Italy in the 7 days. And 7 days is kind of like the industry, fastest industry turnaround time.
Wow.
So imagine that you order today, it's in your hands by next Monday. That's pretty fast out of Italy. So that 3 kind of like punch combo is really what we're known for. The made in Italy, the Pantone matching with unlimited colors, and the 7-day turnaround time. And then what we're also known for, because that's the production side, is the ease in which we make this for our customers. So very easy. You reach out, you give us your logos, we come back to you with 6 to 8 designs that we think would be really appropriate for your brand. You make changes as you like. You get a label with it. It's all in one price. There's no hidden fees, one price to your door. And then, everybody's happy kind of thing. So we make this simple. The transactions are relatively quick, and you don't have to spend your life kind of like figuring out how to make a sock,
There you go. Yeah, you don't want to have any more work than you already have. But yeah, I can see how these would be more valuable than, a stupid pencil. I mean, people don't even own pencil sharpeners anymore. I'm like, how am I supposed to sharpen this stupid thing?
Right.
Like, what the hell? I mean, I think that's half the point is like, we don't want you to use it. We want you to sit on your desk. So you always look at it. And it's like, I'm already looking through your contacts and glasses. Like, what more do you want from me? America's best Contacts. I think that's who it is. I just gave them a plug too for that. So there you go. You got paid back for your pencil merch there. America's best eyeglasses. So this has been pretty awesome. Give us your final pitch out as we go out, and how people can onboard with you, and throw us your final pitch as we go out.
Sure. We're going into the end of the year. We'd love to hear from everybody. It's a great employee gift and customer gift, instead of giving a gift basket that everybody's given. And we could take care of everything. Like, even if you had 100 customers and you wanted us to customize the socks and mail all of those socks to each of your customers, we do that. So we have full, facilitation of that. It's a great gift. It kind of like is something that you'll get the conversation started with your client. They always email you back and say, "Oh, thanks for the sock. I got it. I'm wearing it tomorrow." There's a conversation starter behind it, and it's super easy. Like, a lot of people think, it's a little hard to get started and to design the sock. We actually make that super easy, and it's quick, and you'll have it, and it's relatively fair, inexpensive. So when you combine all of that together, it makes a very good holiday gift. And it also makes a very good trade show gift or employee gift. So we'd love to hear from everybody. The website is Socrates, SOCKRATES, custom, CUSTOM.com.
There you go. Well, thank you, Sam, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. We learned a lot about how to build a business and also how to market it. Maybe we should have the Chris Voss Show socks. Should we come up with that, people? Send me emails if you want.
Do it. Yeah.
There you go. And so thanks for coming on the show, Sam. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
There you go. Thanks for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, youtube.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, and Chris Voss 1 on the tickety talkety. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys next time. And that should have us out.